Hey everyone, I'm ArmorGaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Analysis. Up for analysis today is Uria's pets. Uria's pet is a thunder spirit inside a solid metal armor. He follows his master's command without questioning. He's a true war dog. Uria's pet has such a simple design in my opinion, but I honestly really like it. It reminds me exactly of General Uria, definitely his pet, such a good monster design. But like always, designs are one thing, let's take a look at stats. And really quickly before jumping into stats, I have to say that currently there are 16 thunder legendary monsters, so this analysis will be compared to those which you can see before you. Anyways, going back to stats, Uria's pet has a power of 3,465, putting him in 5th place, so it's a pretty high power for thunder legendary monsters. His life, however, compared to the other thunder legendary monsters, it doesn't fare so well. 23,223, this actually puts him in 11th place, really towards the bottom. And a similar thing can be said for his speed. 3,432, although it appears quite fast, this actually puts him tied for 11th place along with his master General Uria. However, the speed is quite negligible considering that Uria's pet is going to be an attacker, so really with attackers, speed doesn't matter too much as long as their speed isn't too terribly low, say like under 3,000 to where they won't get a turn in. As long as they have a decent enough speed, they're going to make great attackers. And his first trait, we have tough. Generals are tough. All status effects have a 35% less accuracy against this target, so this is a really good trait to have, especially considering that thunder monsters will either stun you, blind you, or daze you. There are so many different effects that having even one single trait immunity, like if you were immune to stun, you can still get blind and dazed, or if you were a monster that was immune to blind, you can still get stunned. So having tough, I think this really works in his advantage. Anyways, let's move on to skills. We have Pet Blast, Pet Thunder, and Thunder Crack. Deals massive thunder damage to all enemies. It's a thunder based AoE, 75 damage. It's pretty vanilla. I kinda wish this skill was a little stronger or special based, maybe 85 damage, maybe 75 damage special base. I wish maybe it would have blinded just in case the enemy survived. Now considering this monster does have a pretty high power, and considering you're gonna give this monster strength wounds, most likely the enemy monsters won't survive, but if you're battling against a thunder monster, Thunder Crack might not be able to finish them off, especially if it's a rather tanky thunder monster. If you're going up against a Voltic, then depending on the runes you have on this monster, and most likely that Voltic will have base life, you might then be able to finish him off with Thunder Crack. So this special, I don't necessarily love it, I don't hate it, it's just, it's there. Skills group 1, we have Boom Teleport, Electric Crash, Dynamic Barrage, nothing too interesting there. Let's move on over to skills group 2. Starting things off, we have Barrage Teleport. Deals heavy special damage, targets a single enemy, dealing 55 damage, costing 28 stamina with no cooldown. So I actually like Barrage Teleport a lot. The damage is fine with 55, the stamina cost is rather low, having no cooldown, I just love that. Now having no cooldown, the only time that comes in handy is realistically against Timerion. Against other monsters, no one can do what Timerion does, so it's not too much of a threat. So for that reason, I actually can't recommend Barrage Teleport. If you ever were to face off against a Timerion, say for Team Wars if it was Thunder Metal and some other rarity, I would honestly just recommend you to not use Uria's pet. Instead, run a monster that has a zero cooldown skill, if you have one. You know, Voltic is the perfect example. So I don't think you should run the skill just for that small percentage that it might be a Thunder Metal war. In my opinion, you can forget about Barrage Teleport. I do like it as a skill, but you're gonna see that this monster has a bunch of other amazing skills. Next off is Electric Rumble. Deals very heavy thunder damage, Mayday's target requires cooldown. Thunder based attack that targets a single enemy, dealing 60 damage, stamina cost 31, 2 turn cooldown, and this dazes. This skill I also really like a lot. If you were ever to face off against a water monster, they'd easily be taken out in one hit. Even against other monsters that aren't thunder, this would also be a really good skill. And in the very worst case that you can't finish off a monster in one hit, they would still be dazed, so they have negative 25% accuracy, so they might not hit you, and even if they do hit you, their power is reduced by 25%. A really good skill, but once again, you're gonna see he has even better skills. So Barrage Teleport, Electric Rumble, you don't need to run these two skills. Luckily for me, Uria's pet, his skills were so easy to figure out. It's just all of skills group 3 and Dynamic Discharge. Dynamic Discharge deals moderate special damage to all enemies, requires cooldown. It's an AoE that's special base, deals 45 damage, costs 36 stamina, and it has a 3 turn cooldown. Now what I really like about Uria's pet is that he has a 45 special based AoE as opposed to having a 45 thunder based AoE. So in Team Wars, this monster could be rather perfect. Usually, not always, but a lot of the time when a monster has a 45 damage AoE, it's usually an element based AoE. So for example, the first monster that comes to mind is Thetis' pet, a really powerful water attacker, but his 45 damage AoE is water based, so that doesn't really help in a Team Wars involving water monsters. Uria's pet on the other hand has a special based AoE. So when you have a special based AoE, this is a perfect skill to take out all of the enemy monsters in one hit. If ever there's a team wars involving thunder and light, instead of using a thunder deny monster and a light attacker, you can just use Uria's pet as your attacker, and for light monsters, if you have demise, you can use demise, use strength from beyond, and then it's going to be Uria's pet's turn, and then you can use dynamic discharge, and then you're going to have a special based AoE that's pretty much going to wipe out the whole enemy team, including the enemy thunder monster. So this is a really great skill. You absolutely have to run this skill. Anyways, down to skills group 3, we have Outburst Teleport. Deals massive special damage, requires cooldown. This is a special based attack that targets a single enemy, costs 28 stamina, and it has a 2-turn cooldown. Another rather vanilla skill in my opinion, 70 damage, special based. That's really all you have to know. Whatever monster you attack with this skill, they're pretty much going to be finished in one hit. Electric Fulmination deals very heavy thunder damage to target and low thunder residual damage to all enemies, requires cooldown. So this skill targets a single enemy, 85 damage, 28 stamina, 3-turn cooldown. Now, even though it says 85 damage, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Escalator informed me that it's actually 65 damage in the game, so I'm not sure which one is correct, but regardless, whether it's 65, 85, this is still a really powerful skill. Now, once again, if you're going up against a thunder monster, it most likely won't take them out, but if you're going up against a water monster, it's definitely going to take them out. If you're going up against any other element, depending on what kind of runes you have, it could potentially take them out. And it also deals low residual thunder damage to the rest of the enemies, which can be pretty good, especially in Team Wars. If it's a common monster, that low residual thunder damage, that might be enough to just wipe out that common monster. So you might be able to take out 2 monsters in Team Wars with that one attack. Even though it's not really an AoE, just dealing that low residual thunder damage, that might be all you need. And last but not least, we have Dynamic Thunderbolt. Deals massive special damage to target and low special residual damage to all enemies. So it's very similar to Electro Fulmination. This skill 75 damage, 28 stamina, 3-turn cooldown. So this skill dealing 75 damage and being special based, even if you attack the enemy thunder monster, you're gonna have no problem finishing them off. And again, that low residual damage, if it's a common monster in the enemy team, that might be enough to finish them off. Uncommon, I'm not too sure. It would have to depend on the kind of runes you're running on Uria's pet and whether or not Uria's pet has some sort of damage boost. So I think I already went over the skills. I recommend all of skills group 3, Outburst Teleport, Electric Fulmination, Dynamic Thunderbolt, and from skills group 3, I recommend Dynamic Discharge. Electric Rumble, although I like it, I don't think it's needed. Yeah, that daze is nice, but just because this monster has the potential to wipe out just about every single enemy in one hit, you don't need to worry about dazing the enemy monster. And then Barrage Teleport, yes, even though I like the skill because of that 0-turn cooldown, once again with this monster you really don't need that. The only time this would come in handy is against a Timerion, and Timerion is just 1 out of 187 legendary monsters, so I would just go with the skill set I provided earlier. And as for runes for this monster, I would just go with your basic attacker setup, 2 strength runes and a speed rune, potentially a team speed rune. It really depends on what you need, which only you know. So with all that being said, that is going to conclude my analysis on Uria's pet. I think this has been one of my faster analysis just because this is a pretty straightforward monster. Attackers are usually straightforward. You just pick their best attacks, you give them 2 strength runes, a speed rune, a team speed rune, and you're good to go. Of all the general pets, I would have to say this is by far one of the better ones. But anyways, you guys have heard enough from me. I want to hear from all of you. What do you guys think about Uria's pet? Do you think it's a good monster? Do you think it's not so good of a monster? And also let me know if you disagree with the skill set. Do you think maybe you should be running Barrage Teleport? Or maybe you think you should be running Electric Rumble instead of the other skills I suggested? If so, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Also be sure to let me know what monster you want to see analyzed next. And like always, remember to dream big and pursue your passions.